you know what? To be honest with you, it's a Frankenstein team. You can't get new signings, star signings, to be supported by the old mindset. These players are not your players. These players weren't bought by you. These players weren't promoted by you. These players were promoted and given promises by the previous coaches. Now you're bringing them in and telling them thrive in an environment where players are being demoralized.
Great run. He pulls it back. Rasmus Højlund. Thunderous. It's an absolute net buster.
And still in the Nedbank Cup, our second game, Kaizer Chiefs, the most successful team in this trophy. That's the Nedbank Cup.
Yeah.
Facing Chippa United. What a game. What do we expect from this game?
Chiefs, there's nothing to expect except what's expected. Slung,
Chiefs to get silverware.
Yeah, no, expect Chiefs to win this match. I think they deserve it after the seasons they've had.
Deserve.
Yeah, they deserve it, man. I mean, the fans deserve it. I'm not sure about whether or not the club deserves it.
Yeah. Now if you mention the fans deserve
the
it.
fans deserve
Yeah.
it. Yeah, no. It's been difficult times, obviously, in terms of cup competitions, league for Kaizer Chiefs fans. But it's matches like this you have to win in order to make it somewhere in these competitions. So I think when it comes to that perspective, Chiefs has to win this match. I want a chance.
I mean, facing Chippa United, if you look at history in Chippa United, they've met a couple of times. We go to cup games, even though it's been a while since they've faced each other in cup games. But if we look at the last two cup games, which was the Nedbank and the Telkom knockouts, Chiefs went on to win those games. Is that advantage to Chiefs since they won the last two cup games against Chippa?
I think the most important thing will be the most recent results between these two clubs, and that's what the Kaizer Chiefs will use to gauge whether or not they're ready for Chippa United. I mean, if you look at the last time they met was in the DStv Prem, which was last season, and both those matches were one or the other side. You understand?
The home team always won that game.
The home team always won that game.
And Chiefs is home now.
Yeah, Chiefs is home now, but don't forget that they're no longer in the same division anymore. So
what do you mean, same division?
Like in the same level of football at the moment. Yes, they're playing in the same league, but in the same division, meaning that their targets are not the same. Kaizer Chiefs is playing catch up with Sundowns, the Pirates, in terms of they are chasing a legacy. They want to win, they want to go play in Africa. Chippa United is chasing survival.
Look, you look at there's 7-point difference with Chippa having a game in hand.
Yes.
So technically there's 3 points, 4 points difference. So how
the reality might be the same for the clubs, but their objectives are not the same. So when you think about it, Chippa will focus more on maintaining their stay at the top. You understand? Kaizer Chiefs is trying to maintain their stay amongst the big three, as you mentioned them. And when you look at what the big three is doing, they're challenging for the league. They're challenging in Africa. What is Kaizer Chiefs doing?
Chippa.
No, what is Kaizer Chiefs doing?
You tell me what Kaizer Chiefs doing.
Yeah, they have to try and maintain. So they're going to want to get silverware first and foremost. Obviously, the new coach can't leave this season without any silverware. So in my mind, looking at it strategically, this might be the perfect opportunity for Kaizer Chiefs to buckle down and actually challenge for this trophy.
Well, and technically speaking, this is the only available trophy for Chiefs.
That is the only available trophy for Chiefs. They didn't play in the MTN8. They didn't play in Africa. They're not playing in the Carling, or they're out of the Carling anyway. And the Carling has already been won by Makesi, which already
chances are league. They're not going to take the league.
So this has to be the trophy that the coach looks at and says, if there's nothing I can bring home, rather I bring home the Nedbank Cup. Because Nedbank Cup is a big trophy. It's not a small trophy.
It is. I mean, it gives you a place in the Confed.
Exactly. But now the question then remains, is Kaizer Chiefs ready for the Confed? But that's a conversation for later. But the reality is that they have to take this trophy seriously. We spoke about Orlando Pirates in the previous clip. And we spoke about how they would be looking to rest players. They will be looking to save players for the DStv Premiership. Obviously, after the result of Mamelodi Sundowns, they'll be looking at that as an opportunity to say, listen, Sundowns dropped points against Chippa, so we have to now play, to catch up and be able to close the gap that we created when we lost against them. So the game is not the same for them. Kaizer Chiefs, last season they finished outside of the top 8. Right now they're sitting in the top 8. All they need to do is maintain that finish, and they finish higher than they were last season in the league. But now the question is the silverware. Will the fans be happy with just a top 8 finish, or will the fans be happy with a top 8 finish plus a trophy? I think the latter is the fact.
Guys, you're hearing more. Chiefs need this silverware. He says Chiefs deserves a trophy.
Chiefs fans. If you're a Chiefs fan and you haven't changed to Pirates, you haven't changed to Sundowns by now,
loyalty.
Chief.
Now the players must
Chief.
they must reward you.
Chief, they must report you.
Look, we look at Chiefs. We look at Chiefs' last game, which was in the league. They played Eastern and Posh. Do you give Chiefs a chance against Eastern and Posh? Mind you, Eastern and Posh was home.
I didn't actually, I'll be honest.
Chiefs went over to win the game and keep a clean sheet.
Well, the reality is that Kaizer Chiefs, like I said, those big games, Amatabi, they don't really tell you what's really going on for the rest of the season. What they really just tell you about is which team was better on the day. Form-wise, it doesn't really tell you, what's going to happen in Club Before the Chiefs. But the reality is that Chiefs have to maintain it. I mean, how many times have we said back over the seasons, over the years, Chiefs will win this Soweto derby. You say Chiefs is back. Then 3 weeks later, they've lost every other game. So the reality is that they need to maintain. We're not saying that what they've done over the past 3 matches is not good. They need to maintain. You understand? Because even before they lost to Orlando Pirates, they had 2 wins at home, back-to-back, to Free Agents and Kukune United. And then after that game against Orlando Pirates, they have 1 win, 1 draw. So the problem we're complaining about here is consistency. Coaches, every time a coach gets appointed to Kaizer Chiefs, it seems that we forget that the mandate is consistency, not necessarily to win the big games. You understand? Consistency wins you trophies. But now, the formula to success is that. Now, without consistency, you can't win the league. Without consistency, you can't challenge for cup trophies because you're not consistently winning. You'll win this game, lose that game. Win this game, lose that game. By doing that, you win in the league, get knocked out in the cup. You understand? You win in the cup and get knocked 3 spots down in the league. So for Kaizer Chiefs right now, I think the main thing has to be consistency. Because now coaches that have coached at Kaizer Chiefs have left. About the likes of Arthur's one. How is he doing at the moment? You understand? And how are Chiefs fans feeling at the moment? Are they thinking to themselves, should we have kept that guy over this guy?
Because truth is, if you have to look at Batuban, Ntseki, you look at Atazwane, you look at Nabi. There's not really much difference.
There's not really much difference.
And those 2 coaches that I mentioned before, Atazwane and Ntseki, they were sacked. But Unabi still survived.
But the reality is that the club has to stand behind Unabi because, number one, you guys went out and you ventured beyond the borders of South Africa in terms of coaching and went to go get someone outside. Nizanai, you can't treat him the same way you treat the guy who's local. You understand? The local guys will always be, and the thing is, the problem with the local guys was that they were never given a chance because of, when you're too familiar. Yes, then fans will always look at the fact that Uzwane got his job after a coach was sacked and he took them to the final and then someone came to replace him. You can't go back and give that guy a full-time job. It's like, let's say it's okay, fine. You are the acting CEO after Kuvayami. And then after that, a week after you are appointed as the acting CEO, they are putting another CEO. So what does that say to you? It means that the club itself didn't trust you. So by the time they sack you, then we all think, Vele, you were an interim coach. We'll always see you as an interim coach. Roberto Martinez at Chelsea. He won the Champions League with Chelsea. The first Champions League that Chelsea won. He was the coach, but he was an interim coach. You understand? Rafa Benitez was interim coach at Chelsea as well. But he was nothing more than that, interim coach. So when you're an interim coach, it's hard for you to convert people to the thinking that I am the main guy for the job. So that's going to keep you in that space where even when it's supposed to be they always look at you in that light. You're here for a short time, not a long time. So I think this time around with Unabi, they're willing to build with him. I think this time around they're willing to be patient with him. And I think the fans are also tired of chopping and changing of coaches. Because even Kevin Johnson, we're not even sure if he was the main coach or the interim coach. We're not sure what you understand, like that needs to be clear. So I think right now Kaizer Chiefs is in that phase of their story where they need to have someone constantly at the job. Not chopping and changing. Because chopping and change is confusing fans. It's confusing because fans don't even know whether to complain or not. But that was the whole thing about Kevin Johnson last season. Basafuni coach. That's why every time a big footballing figure would come to the country, the first thing Kaizer Chiefs fans would say is he's coming to coach Kaizer Chiefs. It happened when Upenny McCarthy left United. Then he landed in the country. But Spicer Chiefs a sack. Because the head coach at the time, they didn't see him as the main man. Now the question is, do they see this guy as the main man? And his results are similar to the results of coaches in the past that were seen as interim. And yeah. So even though the Mihle, I know he was a head coach, but because of his previous jobs, they just felt he's coming here to Bamba Ispan for a little bit.
You look at it, unabi signings now. Kuno Cele, kuno bathubani uLilepo. 1 man of the match in the last game they played against Eastern Bosch, and you look at Morris. Since those players started playing, we look at the last 3 games. Chiefs has done fairly well. Are we saying Chiefs' problems are slightly solved? No, am I still early to say?
I think it's still early to say. Mainly because I always feel like Chiefs signings are long-term, short-term. Chiefs' problem is not something you can solve overnight. So by putting signings into the picture, those players are expected to perform miracles. Chiefs must be investing into, for the longest time, Chiefs' MDC side was the best in the country.
Correct. I think even now they're sitting where
Yes.
they're sitting on top.
Yes. So for me, Chiefs must get a coach who's youth-minded, who's willing to unpack those youthful players, mix them with the senior players, and be able to move forward. Because from a business standpoint, you are now making the club spend a lot of money, which then makes them feel like their commitment to you is huge. If you fail with that amount of commitment, they're going to sack you. What happens to the players you've left behind? Then the next coach must come in and deal with Sereno Corner, must deal with Umar Corner, he must deal with Lilepo, he must deal with Chivariro, and he also wants his own players. You understand? It's the same thing we saw at United for many years. When this coach leaves, he bought these players, Abo Martial, Nabo Lingard, Ubafage squad team. When he leaves, now what must we do with these players? The next coach comes and says, I don't want this guy. This is not the striker I want. I want that striker. Imagine what must they do with this guy? Medicine bench while we get another guy. Because the truth is, who's buying players from Kaizer Chiefs?
That's a good question. Who's buying players?
Who's buying players from
And
Kaizer
on what
Chiefs?
basis, what criteria are they using?
If you're loving the video, don't forget to hit the like button, leave us a comment below, and share by clicking on the share button.
And if you're not part of the Betfred family, simply open an account with us and get up to 500 free spins and up to 5,000 Rand first deposit match.
Let's get back to the video.
You
Exactly.
look at a player like Umori. It seems like Umori has found his form. Quite there's something that's short, the finishing touch.
Exactly. Because you know what, to be honest with you, it's a Frankenstein team. You can't get new signings, star signings, to be supported by the old mindset. These players are not your players. These players weren't bought by you. These players weren't promoted by you. These players were promoted and given promises by the previous coaches. Now you're bringing them in and telling them thrive in an environment where players are being demoralized. Instead, how is Yusuf Mal going to take out $1 million pass for you when he's demoralized at the fact, Bangang Vaisa now? You understand? Dory left. He was the number 10. He was a star man. He was the main man. There was rumors that he's earning a big check. Then they go and get Userino to come into that place and say, fill these boots. Why did they not go into the MDC and get a youthful player, but he will groom you? It's more what you can give us in the next 3 seasons.
I'm going to always say that.
That's what you said.
That's what Uzwana did. That's what Uzwana did. And guess what? For some odd reason now, those youth from Uzwana, Abu Shabalala, they're not getting game time that they should actually be getting.
Because
So
now,
we're saying they're not in coach's
now
plans.
the new coach came in and said, I want stars to play here. So he went to go sign his own players. Which now means that those players who are chilling now about Chabalala, they have to
Abu
be,
Ngobo,
they have to
or
take a step back.
Mashiane.
And those players were excited about them. So what I'm saying to you is that it's a Frankenstein team, and my fear for Kaizer Chiefs at the moment, that's what I'm saying to you. He has to win a trophy. If he doesn't win a trophy, he hasn't achieved anything. Because the reality is that the hard part of the season hasn't even arrived. Come March, Guyashi is a PSL.
Yeah.
Then you will know Guti PSL Yashis. Come March. Where even the team at the bottom can show you flames. They can lose to Richards Bay. It's possible. You understand? So what I'm saying
look what
to you-
Tex Galaxy just did too. Mamelodi Sundowns.
Exactly. So now the reality is that this new coach is coming in. Everyone is backing him with these new signings. But the reality is that he's backing these signings in a team that already has players that are demoralized. How do you think Chabalala feels now? He could have been the man in the derby. Could have been him and Umfuke, which most posters were doing.
Or even Vegas, also Villagaz.
You understand? But now the reality is that those players, you understand? Umfuke uyashayina ngara, thina shining ngayo because they bought a player to play in front of me. And when I got promoted, the promises was Shina. The same way Boshine in MTC. Which now begs the question, is the MDC just for us to watch at home? Or is it really to develop players and put them in the first teams?
Some teams are developing. Sundowns took a couple of players, put them first team. Paris is the same thing. The Chiefs did in the past.
In the past.
Maybe they should do it again.
The reality is that that's what happens when you get a coach who's not really familiar with that team. So they have to ask themselves a big question, because come the end of the season, If he doesn't have trophies, they can't motivate him stay. And they won't be able to back up the amount of money he spent.
So they need this cup.
And like I said, these players are not leaving because they're just waiting for their contracts to run out. And when their contracts run out, they go sign for clubs for free. What happened to Kamabilia?
Yeah, I know.
What happened? He left for free. You see what I'm saying? So, Keegan Tolly. But the club is saying we're not renewing the contract. We understand that you're not renewing the contract. But now every club, the same way people are saying about Uribiero. But Uribiero, the Chiefs fans were saying, no, don't worry about him. In 5 years' time, we'll get him for free from Sundowns. So it shows you good. In South Africa, we already have the mentality good. If players are showing Sundowns, the Chiefs mahala. So,
and the truth is, Chiefs has been falling into that trap for how many times now? I can name like 6 players now.
Exactly.
They still went on to get Userinho. Serinho is doing the same thing that Upilia did, the same thing that Castro did.
100%.
They're not doing what they were doing at Sundowns.
They're going to chow imali. Belo ja Gauteng mfana. Wathi ba Jesse Chiefs. Igol ngalke Gauteng. Belo ja Gauteng mfana.
You look at Chiefs' first game, win Nedbank Cup. Free agents, they were able to score 3 goals. Second game now, they meet Chippa United. Chippa is slightly different to free agents, but like we said, they're not doing so well themselves. Do you think?
I think also what we underestimated with free agents was their position in the SAB. We never actually considered that them sitting mid-table in that competition would affect them going into this one, and also what they're capable of as a club, you know. And the fact that they're also away from home. I mean, you're going to a big stadium like Isoka City. Most of you are like, hey, but Isoka City, you understand? So we don't blame them for the result. I think a 3-0 result was it 3-0?
3-0.
Yeah, somewhere there. It was not a bad result in terms of, you know, we can't judge them and say, hey, but for a team coming fourth, it was 4-0. From a team coming from that division, for a team coming from that division, that was a reasonable result. But now you play against the Chippa United. They played you last season. They know what you're about. And like I said, when you look at previous results, their last 2 matches didn't even end in a 3 or 4 or 5-0. It was 1-0, 2-0.
Yeah, last game Chippa beat Chiefs 1-0.
Exactly. So, I mean, Chiefs beat Chippa 1-0. Chippa beat Chiefs 2-0 at home, and then Chiefs beat Chippa 1-0 at home. So
Chippa beat Chiefs 1-0.
Okay.
Yeah, at home.
All right, it's fine.
Correct.
So that's one thing that you have to take into consideration. It's not that these two clubs don't know each other. Free agents doesn't know Chiefs. Chiefs doesn't know free agents. But Chiefs knows Chippa United. Chippa United knows Chiefs. So now they're going to go in there with that mentality. We know these guys. We've played at their level. We do this thing to care us. But so for me, it's just one of those games that Chiefs will think they can win, but they have to be careful because Chippa, like I said, there are 2 teams that are in reality at the same level, but mindset-wise are looking at different distances. One wants to catch up to Chiefs and to Sundowns and Pirates. The other one just wants to stay in the top 8, and generate revenue so that they can buy more players, sell those players to the bigger clubs. So the goals are different. Chippa will want silverware themselves. I'm not saying they don't, but at the end of the day, Chiefs, it's in their hands to win. If Chiefs gets knocked out of this competition, we just simkosh manj.
So it's
because usarele in Spain.
So let's put a head on the block. With all that you've said, sounds like you're saying Chiefs must win the game.
Yeah, Chiefs must win the game.
So what's your prediction for this game?
My prediction for this game is going to be I'll say a Chiefs win.
Chiefs win.
Yeah, I'll say a Chiefs win.
Goals? How many goals?
I think it'll be a 2-1 win because Chiefs is also leaking at the back. Yes, then the problem with Chiefs is that they can't handle play through the middle. I don't understand how. But yeah, so I think it will have to go down to
Chiefs winning by 2-1.
Yeah, it almost called me the Chippa Chiefs. Yeah.
Guys, you heard more. More is saying Chiefs is walking away with the win and going through to the next round. Chiefs to win by 2-1. Do you agree or do you disagree with Mo's prediction? Leave us a comment. Let's hear what you got to say. And look, if Chiefs win, they still have Pirates, they still have Sundowns.
Yeah.
The competition gets tougher.
But if they get knocked out by one of those clubs, the fans won't feel that hard done. They'll complain. But not to get knocked out. Imagine if Chiefs got knocked out by a free agent last season. Unabi would have not played the derby.
Is Chiefs ready for Pirates and for Sundowns?
They're not.
In the next round?
They're not. But in reality, that they have to get there. Ngeke bakuxoshe uyiChippa ndoda.
I see
and
Vali.
then the job stays.
I see Vali.
If they get knocked out by Chippa and then Nabi stays, I'm gonna say that Chiefs is backing this guy with everything they got. The question is how many journalists must just stop asking them more. Why? They must just ask how long are you willing to back him?
Nabi, you gotta take this cup for the fans and for the journalists, so they don't write anything or ask no questions.
But he can't read English, so it's fine.
I see Vali more.